Hey everybody, welcome back to our video series interviewing faith leaders. I'm so excited to have Taj Smith here with us today, and we're going to talk a little bit about your journey, Taj, and a little bit about being trans in seminary, and a little bit about the work you're doing now. So could you introduce yourself to us and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Taj Smith. I am living in the Boston area. I am a transgender man, and I am the faith organizing director for the Yes on 3 campaign for transgender equality right now.
Awesome. And can you tell us a little bit about what that campaign is?
Yeah, so right now Massachusetts is a battleground state for non-discrimination protections for transgender people in public spaces. So spaces like restrooms, locker rooms, restaurants, parks, hotels, just any place that is a public space.
Cool.
So, yeah.
So the idea is vote yes on 3.
Yes, everyone in Massachusetts.
Cool. Awesome. Could you tell us a little bit about your gender identity and your faith background? Like anything you want to tell us about, like where you grew up or what denomination you grew up in, or how you identify now and when you sort of came out? Anything you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so I see the two of those things as like intrinsically intertwined. So I didn't grow up religious. My mom encouraged me to explore different faith traditions and different ways of being a faithful person. And I was always drawn to Christianity. So I found my way to a local megachurch, and was promptly it was promptly made known to me that I wasn't welcome there in who I was. So after that, that was around like high school, 16 or so. After that, I became a pretty devout atheist. Didn't find my way back to church until college, when I met a group of queer Christians who were just trying to figure out their lives. And once I started going to their Bible study, their weekly Bible study, and then the more and more I started getting involved in this group and like figuring more out about myself, the more I like felt gender dysphoria surface. I mean, I always knew who I was. I always knew that I was a transgender man. I didn't have language for it at first, and I learned that in my hometown that it wasn't really something that folks there would be approving of. So I hid it, and in hiding it, I also shut down a lot of other parts of myself, and reconnecting to God was like the first step to reconnecting to to my gender identity and my true self. And I couldn't hide it in order for me to enter into authentic relationship with God. I couldn't hide it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. I think that resonates with a lot of people. Me as well. Would you tell us a little bit about your experience in seminary as a trans person? Because you went through that process as an out trans person, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was that
Yeah.
experience like for you?
So I went to Harvard Divinity School, and it was a rigorous environment. I mean, by the time I had gotten there, I'd been on T, so I pretty much looked as I do now. So people didn't know that I was trans until I said something.
Mm-hmm.
And the first few times I said something about it, like there were a few people who were like, "What? So you want to be a woman?" I'm like, no. But for the most part, people were really supportive, and like Harvard Divinity School has gender neutral restrooms in all of the single stall bathrooms. So that was like a pretty clear tip off that was like a warm, welcoming place. And yeah, it was. If anything, I had more problems there being a person of color than I did being a transgender person. And there are plenty of others who have followed instead. And there were plenty of others before me who went through that program. So, yeah.
Could you talk a little bit about how, like, your faith and your gender identity and your identity as a person of color, how those things are all kind of, how they intersect or intertwine, and what that looks like for you in your life?
Yeah, so I am always looking for ways to be more intersectional and like in my work and like in what I do, specifically around gender identity and race and faith. I mean, because there's plenty of Black faith communities that are not talking about gender in ways that are productive or that allow for folks to be like creative or diverse with it. And there are plenty of queer communities that are not talking about race. Or if they are, they're doing it in a way that's not productive. So I want to be able to like bring those conversations together in a way that allows for people like me to be able to express where our real fears, where our real fears are. I mean, like I do the work that I do, but I know that someone who wants to do violence against me will do it because they'll harass me because I'm Black, but they'll kill me for being trans. And so like, or maybe vice versa, but like as I said before, like it's not like completely obvious. I have passing privilege, so like I am able to go through my life without too much trouble, for being a transgender man. Being a Black man, not so much.
Yeah, right. That's not something that you can really hide.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not something that you would want to either, I don't think. I mean, like, I can't speak for you, but when it comes to things like identity, I think it's hard to figure out how to deal with things that we can't hide or things we don't want to hide.
Exactly.
Yeah. Could you, so then you kind of came onto this campaign, the Yes on 3 campaign. Can you talk about how that work and the commitment to justice for, people when it comes to things like race and gender identity and faith and things like that? Can you talk about how especially how your faith played into your ability and decision to work on this campaign?
Yeah, so I mean, I identify as a Christian. I'm a Christian man, so like when it comes down to it, like justice, equality, and compassion are three of the hugest things that the biggest values that like are the foundation of my faith and the way that I practice it. So like knowing that this law was up for repeal, that these protections are in danger, like it makes no sense to me. And as a Christian, I feel like it's part of my duty to like do everything I can to make sure that they stay in place. And like my work specifically, like I work with faith communities to get involved, like giving them a chance to get involved and to allow them to make those connections for themselves, to connect trans equality to their values. And in doing that, like they get to realize like how their faith is connected to this issue as well, which is also an incredibly rewarding experience.
Totally. That's awesome. Well, so if you were talking to a younger trans, non-binary, gender diverse person, and they are, struggling to bring their faith and their gender identity sort of together, or to deal with some of the negative messages that we get from wider culture, is there a resource that has maybe been helpful to you that you might suggest to somebody else?
I would say the best resource that I had was folks at my church who were accepting. If there are people in your life who are affirming, spend as much time with them as possible, and just surround yourself with love at all times. Because I mean, that's what it comes down to. Like for me, at least, with being a person of faith and being a trans man, it's like I just need those places where need to feel those places where I can feel affirmed. Find those places where I can feel affirmed.
Mm-hmm.
I guess if you're looking for something to read or watch, so Trans Faith Online has a lot of excellent resources, and I know that they also tend to be pretty available to talk to folks. So if there's ever if you ever feel like you need someone to talk to, you can just send one of them an email, and that they will get you connected. And let's see, watching. Oh geez, I watched this documentary, and I'm completely forgetting the title of it, but it was a documentary all about transgender Christians, and yeah, it was put out by the Trans Episcopalians.
Is it the Out of the Box trans?
Yes.
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 We can link that in the thing below. Yes, it's a short video put together by the Episcopal Church, and it's called, I think it's called Trans Voices Out of the Box. But yeah, we'll definitely link that below.
Awesome.
Cool. So then I guess that's about all I've got for you, even though I've got a million more questions. We've kind of run out of time. But I guess the last question that I have for you is, what sort of encouragement would you give to younger trans folks that are kind of going through this process? Is there any sort of wisdom that you wish you could pass on? And specifically I know that we have a lot of gender diverse youth of color that are struggling with trying to figure out how to navigate things like, dealing with the sort of layers of injustice that they deal with every day because of their different identities, and how some are visible and some are not. And so are there any sort of words of encouragement that you might give younger folks as they're dealing with this?
Encouragement I have is keep fighting, and you're not the only one. And there are so many of us out here, and we want to support you and be there for you.
Cool. Where can people get a hold of you if they maybe want to find out more about Yes on 3, or if they maybe want to find out more about you and the way that you are preaching in other places, and where can people find you?
So you can find me, you can actually email me, taj@freedommassachusetts.org.
Bam. So easy. That's awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Taj, for being with us today, and good luck on the campaign. And we'll just keep encouraging the folks in Massachusetts to keep fighting the good fight.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks.